What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Well, took our first loss, man. Obviously, it's not easy taking that first loss, but one way or another, we knew it was coming. And today just so happened to be the day. The Falcons went to Detroit for the first road game of the season. They started 2-0 with 2 home games against Carolina and Green Bay. Today, they went to Detroit with hopes of staying undefeated early on. And those hopes were not realized. The Falcons went to Detroit and got a pretty good beating, 20-6. More so beaten on the offensive side of the football. And we're going to talk all about it. What's a Buck School game? The link is there. I would probably necessarily say only for Falcons fans, but I might let other people in a little later on. I don't anticipate this being too long, but yeah, the Cowboys absolutely fucking suck. And we'll talk about all that's happened around the division, and y'all got a big game tomorrow night. So yeah, man, it's obviously a tough pill to swallow, but I guess we need to get right into it. So I did stream the game, and I've let it digest, and I've really let it I've really cooled down in a way. Obviously pretty high. Thoughts were all over the place. I've kind of settled in. I know what my thoughts are about this game. First of all, this was one of the weirdest, goofiest Sundays that I can remember of NFL football. And there's been some crazy stuff I've seen with the Falcons in the NFL. But man, some of the stuff that happened today was just goofy as it can get. We had a team score 70 points today. 70. A team scores 70 points in the Miami Dolphins. We had the Dallas Cowboys, who everyone thought of as the best team in football, lose to the worst team in football. That is why there are always, no offense to the Cowboys fans, but it's true, accident waiting to happen. We just had a lot of stuff. The Colts upsetted the Ravens. The Bears still suck. It was a pretty damn weird Sunday around the NFL. And we still got one game left to go. So, with that being said, man, getting into this game, I think the number one thing that I'm going to blame for this loss is apparently the game plan we went in with, which was we were going to try to pass the football. And I don't know if that's the game plan or not, but definitely it was the play calling there. And guess what? When you look at that and you see, that's all that matters. I look at that and I say, okay, that was your plan. I don't know what went wrong, because to me unless there was some injury or some miscommunication, some severe miscommunication. There was a disagreement between Arthur Smith and Dave Ragone, which Arthur Smith calls plays. So you got to blame him for this. You can put it hand in hand with him and Dave Ragone, but you got to blame Arthur Smith for this one majority. I'm not putting all the blame on him, obviously, but he gets majority of it because he is the one that calls plays. You get the ball first, so you get the opportunity to go out and establish a rhythm first. You get the first punch of what should have been a dogfight. And first play, okay, Nice screen pass to Bijan. Get 7 yards. Okay, it's all right. 2nd and 3, you have Tyler Algier in there. Why the hell are you not starting to just run that football? Why aren't you trying to control the game at your rhythm? Because that would be the clear and obvious thing to do. Now, I don't know if it was you were paranoid. I don't know if it's you didn't want. And listen, that's fine. I can understand not wanting to be predictable all the time. But your identity should have been in this game. This was one of those games. If you wanted to do it, you could have done it next week versus Jacksonville. You could have done it versus the Houston Texans. There's plenty of other games on the schedule. If you wanted the passing game to be the focal point of how this offense runs, you could have done it on those days. Not today. This should have been a big Bijan Robinson and especially Tyler Algier day. But it was not the case. We decided to come out, and Desmond Ridder was distraught all game. I mean, 7 sacks allowed. And that'll bring me to my next point that I think really cost us this game, obviously. 7 sacks allowed. And it's just god awful. And here's the thing. You would think going into that locker room down 13-3 at halftime, you would make an adjustment to come out and run the football. And you kind of did that first possession for the offense in the second half. You kind of did. You tried to get a Tyler Algier involved. But that was it. After that, it was just all day. Pass, pass, pass. You were trying to. We had one big play to Drake London, the second series of the game. And after that, that was it. The next thing we're going to get into, listen. This kind of honestly goes hand in hand into the main reason I'm blaming this loss. As a matter of fact, it really is just an extension. You understand, and you know, and obviously you don't want to echo it because you don't want to destroy your offensive line, especially Caleb McGarry's confidence. But you have to face reality with yourself. Where the hell are these guys comfortable? They are comfortable run blocking. They are comfortable mowing guys down and creating those lanes for a Bijan Robinson, a Tyler Algier. That is where they're comfortable at. But what was your plan today? You came out and you decided to pass the football, so guess what? Your entire offensive line, but most particularly Caleb McGarry, one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson and Detroit, they kept absolutely exploiting that opportunity. And they got to Ridder all day. 7 sacks, 9 QB hits, 10 hurries. That's what it was. I think during the fourth quarter, that might have not been it. That is how bad it was. Desmond Ridder got the Matt Ryan treatment today. And we'll talk about what y'all have to say about Desmond Ridder in a minute. He got the Matt Ryan treatment today from that end. All that bullshit you saw with Matt Ryan getting sacked 7 times a game, getting sacked 9 times a game. Yeah, Desmond Ridder got that treatment today. However, there is a silver lining in everything, but we're not going to get to that. I'm still trying to figure out why the hell didn't you try to come out and establish a run game? Because if you did that, maybe you don't win the game. A win is not guaranteed trying to establish the run. At least try. If it's like how it was in Carolina last year on the Thursday night, where you're trying to establish a run game, but you just can't, then okay, that's one thing. You didn't even attempt. Whenever we would run the ball, it would be 3, 4, 5-yard gains. Which, no, is not the explosive carries one would hope for. But it wears the defense down slowly. That's what it does. And that's what we should have been doing all game. That's why Detroit was able to pull away in the fourth quarter and finish it off. Because our defense, which, by the way, shout out to the Falcons defense today. Because for years and years and years, the Falcons offense would come out and put 35 points a game up, and the defense would allow 36. The defense could not hold on to a game to save their lives, but it seems now the roles are reversed. The defense got theirs today. Grady Jarrett got his today, didn't he? Years and years and years, he was a part of defenses, not to Grady's fault, that could not hold on to games to save their lives. Now Grady Jarrett's finally a part of a capable defense. Are they getting to the quarterback? No. Would you like to see more of that? Absolutely. 3 sacks through 3 games. I don't even think we got a sack today. That can't happen. You do have to get more sacks. But the defense is still nonetheless doing their job for the most part. The only real bad thing I'm actually going to say, I guess, that would put the defense in a negative spotlight, there was a blown coverage. You could see it was complete. There was complete miscommunication, and they let Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end, get wide open for a touchdown. That's it. Without that touchdown, shit, this is a 6-3 ball game. So maybe that makes it seem like, oh, it was the defense's fault. But that's one play. That's one play. And the offense can't do shit. You basically scored 3 points the whole game. You got another field goal in garbage time. Koo missed a field goal in the third quarter. That would have only put us down 7. And here you go in the fourth quarter with the bullshit. All second half. You cannot capitalize. You can't get momentum on your side. Clearly, whatever. I don't think there were any adjustments, because I saw the same shit in the second half from the offense I saw in the first half. But if there were any attempted adjustments, they weren't working. In any way, they weren't working. But I'm not going to blame the defense. The defense did all right today. They held up their part. They did. They did good enough to where if the offense showed up and we had the right game plan, we could have won this game, but we didn't. And woulda, coulda, shoulda. However, there's a silver lining in everything. This was also the punch in the mouth we needed. And let me explain this. The Falcons, I think, found out today that there's obviously a lot of growth this team still needs to do. We're headed in the right direction. And I'm going to get to Desmond Ridder in a second. We're headed in the right direction. We have an all-generational running back. We have another running back who, no, he might not be the flashiest, but damn it, he can get the job done. And we got an offense with a lot of talent on it. Now, the reason why, and thing I'll talk about here is Kyle Pitts. I don't know if Kyle Pitts, I don't think the man is 100%. I don't know if it's the is. But there's a clear issue there. This is a guy that you can be using for clear mismatches. Now, he got 5 catches for, 41 yards today? But that ain't good enough. It's not. Detroit was allowing, on average, 7 catches to 87 yards to tight ends. Kyle Pitts could have easily gone off for 90 to 100 yards today. Now, you also have to take into account Desmond Ridder didn't have any protection. But Nonetheless, Arthur Smith needs to do a better job with the game planning. And I think he has found that out now. Today's game was that reality check for us. That no, this team is not a bunch of world beaters. This team is not the best team in the NFL, not even close. I don't think anyone claimed that. This team ain't even on the level of a San Francisco or a Philadelphia. This team is headed in the right direction, but this team has shit to work on. We all found that out today. And maybe they got more stuff to work on than we initially thought. But the entire silver lining in all of this is that there's a few things. Number one, and prayers out to Derek Carr. I hope the man is all right. But the Saints did lose today. You like to see that because you do not want New Orleans gaining ground on you in the division. To me, they are still the biggest threat to us. Now, we will see what Tampa Bay is tomorrow night. Tampa Bay wins. They will be first in this division. But Philadelphia, obviously, they're one of the two best teams in the NFC. I think that's without debate now. It's them in San Francisco. But another thing I will say is that on top of all of that, now that we have our first loss out of the way, we can just go off and play the rest of the season now. Let's talk about Desmond Ridder. Oh, wait a minute. The guy everyone wants to put on the bench? Like Taylor Hine or Logan Woodside would have done it. It would have been worse with those two in. It would have been worse. Desmond Ridder is the best quarterback on this team, and he gives us the best chance to win. Like it or not. Desmond Ridder today was absolutely under distress, and he made some bad throws. He did. Ridder does have to clean up with that. There were a couple balls he overthrew. But the silver lining in all of this is that Desmond Ridder still, in my honest opinion, is a rookie. If you're looking at it, he's still in rookie form. And when thinking about it, you have to let the man grow still. It's not like Desmond Ridder has single-handedly lost us a game. Desmond Ridder has been a part of wins, and he's been a part of losses in his career as a starter. But what we need to realize for a second is we did him no justice today with that game plan. We should have came out. We should have been running the football. And that is how you control the game against a team like Detroit. But we didn't do that, and we have to live with this result. The result is the Lions beat our asses today. They dominated our offense today. They ate, however you want to put it. But this now, I think, shows us that obviously we hope Desmond Ridder can be a quarterback that turns into someone who can put this team on his back and win a game. And I think eventually he's going to be able to do that. But, and heck, it might even be later this season. This, I think, was a big step of progress today for Desmond Ridder. And it might sound really weird saying that, but see, these last 2 games have been some of the most valuable games to Desmond Ridder. The guy now understands what it's like to face adversity in the NFL. He had his first interception last week. Now, here's something else. Even though, no, I wouldn't say Desmond Ridder completely put us on his back last week, he had a big part in carrying the load to that comeback win versus Green Bay. But shout out to the Packers for getting that win over the Saints. But this week, he learned what it's like to get hit in the NFL. He learned what it's like to get beaten up. He is beaten up. He is sore right now. The Lions don't play. But at the end of the day, Desmond Ridder now understands what it's like to be hit in the NFL. He now understands what it's like to throw a turnover in the NFL. And now he can live knowing, yes, that is an inevitability, but I can't let this thing get me off my game. He let it get him off his game today, which, yes, he has to work on. Desmond Ridder is not Matt Ryan. He can get out of pressure. He can escape the pocket. He can make plays with his legs. Would I have liked to see Ridder do some of that today? Yes. But you can't be doing that all the time. Because then, what if you take an unnecessary hit? You're out for a significant amount of time. With that being said, I am going to look at this game in a positive spotlight and where this is a punch in the mouth that we needed, and we're going to be able to take this as a valuable learning lesson moving forward. And as we continue to improve, and we're going to get better. You know, this is something where we are all looking at, everyone is acting like the season is done and we're getting ready to collapse. That is not getting ready to happen. Let me tell you right now. The Atlanta Falcons are not getting ready to have a collapse. Might we lose in London next week? Sure. That would still mean we're 500. We would be coming home to face a Texans team. A Texans team that can definitely do damage, but we're at home. I do think, I'll say this, and this is obviously very great, but we also we also have to be able to add on to this and expand on this. The Falcons, you can tell, are comfortable at the bench. That is their safe spot. They feel like they can do anything at the bench. And you can see that with Desmond Ridder. But you also have to go out there on the road and win those tough games. Something the Falcons have not. The Falcons have not won a road game in exactly a year now. The last time we won on the road was week 3 last year in Seattle. Let's look at it. You're going to have to go to New Orleans. You're going to have to go to Carolina. You're going to have a tough game in Chicago, tough game in New York. Arizona. They just beat the Cowboys today. Are the Cowboys just that bad? Or can Arizona actually cause damage? Tampa Bay. London. Tennessee. Those are some tough games. Those are going to be some tough environments. The Falcons are going to have to be able to get comfortable in playing on the road and getting some wins away from the bench. But I will say this. I definitely think we can win next week in London. Now, because the only real concern for me is I do think Jacksonville's going to be hungry for a win, but man, they did not look good today against Houston. They didn't. And when I tell you that I think that Jacksonville, even though I still think they're the favorites in that division, they're kind of faltering a little bit. I do. I think they could use this trip to London as well. Obviously, they make the yearly trip to London. But here's something that's interesting. I know they won a few years ago against the Dolphins. They did not win last year in London against Denver, I want to say. And I think that was their only game in London. They did not win in London in, 2019 when they faced the Houston Texans there. The Jaguars in recent years have not had the best history in their home away from home. Now, obviously, that doesn't determine what's going to happen next Sunday morning. But nonetheless, it shows that, yes, they can be beaten over there. The Falcons have won in London before with Arthur Smith. He knows all about this. He does. And even though it is a new team, it's a young team. And that, I think, could be the concerning thing thinking about it. You have a coach that is used to this. You do still have some of those veterans who went to London in 2021. Like a Kyle Pitts, like Grady Jarrett, like Jake Matthews, AJ Terrell. They were on that 2021 team that went to London. They're going to be the guys I think we lean heavy on. And plus, you know who's in London next week? Drake London. I think that speaks for itself. But, yeah, I think if anyone wants to hop on, they can. But I think Sunday Night Football's getting ready to start. Obviously, it's a tough game. It's one that you hate to lose, but you can't win all of them. This is not going to be our only loss this season. But this is a learning lesson. This shows you that this team is not invincible. They are human. They are a football team. They are going to make mistakes. But what you have to do is you have to neutralize those mistakes. You have to learn from those mistakes. And you have to grow as a team, which I think this team is doing. I saw something very, very interesting, that the next evolution in what the Falcons are building is where the Detroit Lions are at this moment, and I would probably agree. The Falcons, I feel like, if we're looking at it, are obviously headed down the same path as Detroit, although I think you could say after today, Detroit is a little further on from Atlanta. They're farther than us, and we see that. But I think you have to take some stuff into account. First of all, Detroit, they did go all in with, we're going to take a rough year. We're going to take 2021 as our lump year. We're going to trade Matthew Stafford. We're going to get those picks. And that's how it's going to roll. We're going to go. And then they went, obviously, they started, 1-6 last year? They finished off 9-8. I think if we're looking at the Falcons, I think it's not necessarily the same exact path in terms of years, but it's more so we're getting ready to evolve into what the Lions are right now. And when we're going to fully evolve into that, I don't know. That could maybe be the start of next year. That could be next week. I would probably say we're going to be overall where the Lions are right now later into this season. We have to, in my opinion, still get our feet wet. We have to grow. We do not need to bench Desmond Ridder. Let me make that very clear. That would be the dumbest thing to do right now. Let Ridder learn. Let him take those growing pains. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to make him that much of a better quarterback. And that's what we want. We want Desmond Ridder to be a guy who can put us on his back and lead us for a game-winning drive, right? Because that's what he kind of did for Green Bay. He started to take those steps in becoming that guy. But we want him to be able to rely and do it on a week-to-week basis, right? Which, listen, Matt Ryan, his entire career on and off, got beaten up because he was sacked in his prime. What Desmond Ridder is clearly not in his prime yet. His prime is still, I would probably argue, at least a year away. Maybe even more. Just let the Falcons grow this year. Let them be a team that, and listen, we still have a great chance to win this division. Let us win this division. We're a young team. We get that playoff experience. I still think we could be capable of winning the playoff game if we were to come out and put out the right game plan. But still got a long way to go. And we'll see how it turns out. But, man, if you are going to let one game dictate that, oh, this rebuild experiment is completely, it's done, it's blown up, you're stupid and you don't know the game of football. The Falcons are going to be fine. They needed this. We needed this as a fan base. Maybe some of these fans will mature and grow up like the Falcons are as a team and realize you're not going to win every game. Idiots calling for bench Desmond Ridder. Literally pulling out sacks that he got from the grocery store to mimic, oh, we've spent all this money on the Falcons defense and we still don't have a pass rush. Listen, I want them to turn into sacks too, but you're not sacking a quarterback every play. The sacks are going to come. As we get later into the season, the sacks are going to come. No, it might not be no 60 or 70, but I still definitely think the Falcons could be in reach for getting roughly 30 to maybe even 40 sacks this season. But guess what? It's a whole lot better than 18 and 17. I'll tell you that much. But anyways, it's going to be all right. There's no panic. We're going to get back in at this thing in less than a week now. 9:30 a.m. kickoff. I am probably not streaming the game because, man, I tell you what, I just don't feel like waking up that early and streaming. I'm still probably going to be grumpy. But, hey, I'm doing it. I'm watching my team. And I think we got a good chance to win, man. So, with that being said, shout out to all the real Falcons fans. Thanks for all the support recently. I greatly appreciate it. And, hey, this one defeat ain't going to get us. We're still headed up in the right direction. No one's changing that. But until next time, I'm out.